A buyer's dilemma. Distinguishing price and cost. This fictional case study, developed by Cerro Wire's Electrical Distribution Division, discusses how the true cost of wire includes so much more than the material cost. Cerro Wire had a lot of fun developing a realistic case study to illustrate the features that people looking for true wire bargains should consider when making wire purchasing decisions. These factors include more than just price. Be sure to include rebates, product guarantees, and return policies, and value-add features like lead time, fill rates, number of shipments to complete an order, as well as payment terms. They may well end up saving money in the long run. We have an owner of an electrical supply firm, we'll call him John, who is looking around to improve his prices by changing his wire purchasing methods. John's buyer, Joe, is retiring after 20 years of service. Joe's buying approach had always been to purchase all his wire from Tier 1 suppliers, who provide quick deliveries, high fill rates, and enhanced product features. John hires Eddie, a tough negotiator, who prides himself on his ability to hammer the lowest price out of suppliers. Joe takes the time to help Eddie transition into his new buying role. During the week, Joe introduces Eddie to each supplier and walks him through how to get things done at the firm. After the week is over, Eddie meets with John and tells him that he knows for a fact that he can get better prices. 6 months after the buyer change, the company's CFO tells the owner that he is concerned about the direction in which the company's finances are moving, explaining that the company is earning less money with the new so-called lower-cost wire. When the owner is surprised, stating that prices have never been better, the CFO explains that price and cost are not the same thing. Financial data comparing the last 6 months Joe, the former buyer, was buying wire versus the first 6 months that Eddie, the new buyer, had been on board shows the sad tale. Looking at material costs on Table 1, you can see that Eddie, the new buyer, is indeed getting a better material price than Joe did. However, there are several important costs that both Eddie and John were not considering. Vendor rebates, product guarantees, product value-add features, lead time, fill rates, number of shipments to complete an order, and payment terms are each factors with a definite impact to the business. Together, they added up to a situation that increased long-term costs. Let's go through some of these factors in a bit more detail. First up are rebates. As shown, the prior buyer's vendors had offered rebates at a higher percentage. By overlooking this factor, the new buying regime had missed the boat on more than $40,000. Product guarantee and return policies differ among manufacturers. This can have an impact on a company's profitability. For example, let's look at Cerro Wire's footage guarantee to see how switching from Tier 1 suppliers to low-price suppliers increased inventory shrinkage. In this example, the operations manager measured some of the other newly purchased master reels to compare them with those that had the advantage of Cerro Wire's footage guarantee. The operations person measured 10 reels, of which 7 were short and 3 were at or slightly above the correct length. One of the reels was even 20 feet, about 4% shorter than it was supposed to be. By not considering product guarantees, they had overlooked $37,853 in value. Another factor that came into play was the lack of sequential markings in the wire of lower-tier manufacturers. In the past, the employee cutting the wire would use the mechanical footage counter to get in the area and slow down and make the cut on the manufacturer's mark. The low-price suppliers did not have this feature, so they had to solely rely on the machine's footage counter. This was another factor that was contributing to the increase in shrinkage and on-hand inventory. Lead time, fill rates, and number of shipments to complete an order complete the list of factors that have to be taken into consideration. In our case study, the company had to tie up a lot of its cash increasing inventory due to the supplier's performance in fulfilling orders. With the prior Tier 1 suppliers, the first shipment arrived 5 to 7 days after ordering and was 95 to 99% complete. The shipment was generally complete with 2 to 3 shipments, typically taking 10 to 14 days. Eddie's vendor's first shipment arrived 14 to 20 days after ordering and was 75 to 85% complete. The shipment was generally complete within 5 to 7 shipments, taking a total of 30 to 45 days. In all, by not considering these factors, the company had to spend $783,098 more for inventory and incurred $29,680 more expenses. The last cautionary factor is payment terms, which can also affect the bottom line. In our example, the difference in payment terms cost the company $142,248 in available cash. One way of addressing these issues is by using a vendor scorecard, which provides each vendor with an overall rating rather than focusing solely on price. Take the time to evaluate each vendor using a tool like this, and you will end up with the true bargain.